Hello dear chess friends, I'm International Master Andrey Ostrovskiy and you're welcome to the series of lessons dedicated to King and Pawn Endgames. In this one we're going to discuss different methods of playing for a draw. Well, everybody wants to win, it's understood, but sometimes position is not that great, sometimes it is simply very bad, so you have to fight for a draw. And the first position that you can see on the board is quite bad for black because white has a much better pawn structure and white has a chance to use this advantage to his favor. For example, white plays d6, and this move is very efficient because it forces black to give up a control over h5 pawn because the king has to stop d6 pawn. For instance, if king simply stays on the king side, then after d7, white promotes and wins. So after d6, the only move for black is king f6. And now after forced king takes h5, king e6, king g6, king d6, and king f6, we can see the difference in the pawn structure. We can see the difference in the power of kings. So white has a much more active king here. Black's king is quite passive. White has a much better pawn structure. And actually, the main problem is the weakness of black's pawns. So the most noticeable weakness is, of course, c5, which white can exploit in a couple of moves because black's king inevitably will be forced somewhere to even more passive position, and white's king will get the access to this pawn. So the problem is that the king has to give up a control over important squares. For example, if black waits, let's say with the help of a5, white can also afford a way to move. So king goes to f5, so this king still controls very important squares e5 and e6, and pawn c4 helps whites to fight against black's king. So c4 pawn controls d5, which means that black is simply forced to move the king towards the queen side, which makes black's king position very bad and helps white to improve the position of his king. So king goes to e6 again, gaining the opposition, and then after, let's say, king to b6, king goes to d6, and pawn c5 drops next move, or black is forced to move, let's say, a5 pawn, which is also not good because white simply takes this pawn on a4. So that is white's main plan here after king f6. Just to squeeze black gradually, to force king moving towards a more passive position and then get into c5 pawn and winning it. So what black can do here, it's not that simple to understand how it is possible to stop white, but let's have a look what happens after king c6. So at first glance, this move looks very stupid because black simply goes away, gives up the control over important squares, and invites white to occupy great position. So king goes to e6, king goes to b6, king goes to d5 now, and well, at first glance, black is in a serious trouble. At least we can't see a big difference if compared to the line that we already discussed. And true, if let's say black plays a5, it will be just a transposition. So king goes to d6. Now let's say a4 takes a4, king a5, king takes c5, king takes a4, and white wins with the help of king b6. So after king a3 and king b5, black can't create a counterplay because pawn b4 is being exchanged for pawn a2. So black can't create on-passed pawn. Let's say king takes a2, king takes b4, and that's it. Game is over because white's pawn simply promotes. Black can't stop. If king goes to c7 in this situation, then the rest is simple. So king takes c5, b4 is hanging now, and after a5, king goes to b5, takes a5, next move, then takes b4. So white eliminates everything in black's camp. So it is an easily winning position for white. That's true. But black has a nice idea here after king d5, and it is the first typical method of playing for a draw. King, one of a sudden, goes to a5. So gives up a control over c5 pawn, but appears this pawn is invulnerable because if king takes on c5, then it is a stalemate one of a sudden. So black's pawns are blockaded and king a5 has no squares to move. So it is a stalemate and it is a draw. And if white doesn't take on c5, let's say waits a bit, black has enough possibilities just to keep the position. King goes to b6, protecting c5. After king d5, king goes to a5, and again. So white can't really make a progress without taking c5 pawn, and if white takes c5 pawn, then it is a draw right away. By the way, king c6 move also leads to a stalemate immediately, so it doesn't really matter if the king takes on c5 or occupies c6 square. In both cases, it is a stalemate and a draw. Let's have a look on the other example. In this position, white is in trouble because once again, black has a better pawn structure, black has a better king. We can see that in this particular case, white experiences a problem with the a5 pawn because f5 pawn is quite vulnerable. It can't be protected with the pawn from adjacent file because white's pawn is already on g5. And once again, it is a problem to keep the position because white's king is gradually forced away from important squares like e5 and e4. Black's king gets closer and gradually wins the pawn f5. At least it is a plan. So let's have a look what white can do to play for a draw here, which possibilities white has. So the first possibility, which looks quite natural, is to get to black's vulnerable pawn. So to take on f6 first, and after g takes f6 to try to play against this h7 pawn with the help of king g4. So to give up f5 pawn, but to try to create a counterplay connect with the on-passed pawn, which can be created after white takes black's h pawn. Let's say king to e5, king goes to h5, king takes f5, and king goes to h6. At first glance, it looks very, very promising. And after king g4, king h7, true that if black takes on h4 in this situation, then after king g6, black can't save on pawn f6 so that white eliminates it and makes a draw. That's easy to understand. If, let's say, black plays f5 here, then after king g6, again, if black takes h4 pawn, white takes f5 pawn, and it's a draw. So f4 is forced more or less in this situation, but white plays h5, and we can see that both sides promote simultaneously. So f3, h6, f2, h7, f1 queen, h8 queen. So it is a perfect example of another method of the counterplay, another method of playing for a draw in a position that looks worse. So to give up maybe some material, but to make your king active, to create on-passed pawn, and to try to promote it at the same time with opponent's passed pawn, or at least to create some problems for the opponent. The problem with this plan is that after king takes h7, black has very good move king to h5. After which white is simply lost because h4 pawn doesn't go anywhere, so it is blockaded, and king h5 at the same time controls g6 square, which makes white's king simply misplaced. So now f pawn moves to the promotion square without limits, so black simply wins. So this plan doesn't work. What else? If white plays g6 in the initial position, then black has very good move, just h5. And just like in the previous example, it was the pawn c4 that helped white to control important squares. Here it is pawn h5 that helps black to control important squares. So this pawn controls g4, and after king goes away somewhere, and white is already in Zugzwang, so no squares to occupy with the idea of controlling e4 or e5. So king has to give up a control of one of those squares, and king gets to e5. So now we can see that white simply has no chance to protect f5 pawn. And when f5 drops, this means g6 drops, so black has two extra pawns and easy win. And finally, what happens if white starts with the h5? It looks also very interesting because now white has some ideas connected with the h6 move, which looks very, very dangerous. But black plays h6 himself. After that, white has no ideas connected with the breakthrough on the king side. So after, let's say, exchanges, well, black gains the opposition and wins the pawn f5. And then it is not a problem to win pawn h5. And with 2 extra pawns, black wins. So looks like g takes f6, g6, and h5 actually give white nothing. So another move that we didn't discuss yet is king to g4. So king goes to g4, and now white definitely has some ideas. One of them is to play g takes f6, and then king h5, king h6, just like we discussed. So black has to react. Of course, king goes to e4. And now it is very important to understand that g takes f6 is a simple transposition to the line we already discussed. So white has to try something else. h5 will be also a transposition if black reacts with the h6, and black definitely reacts with the h6. So g6 is the idea that should be considered, because in some lines it leads to a serious counterplay. For example, if black takes on g6, f takes g6, and now we can see this method. So white creates own passed pawn after king g5, f4, h5, f3, h6. So takes on h6, king takes h6, and once again both sides promote simultaneously. So f2, g7, f1 queen, g8 queen, and it's a draw. Very nice. But what happens if after g6 black plays h6? Well, here position looks already very, very familiar, because we already discussed this idea in the previous example. So here we can see that almost all white's pawns are blockaded, right? So they can't move, and it is a sign that white can try the idea of the stalemate, and it works here once again. So king goes to h5. If king takes f5, it is a stalemate and draw. If king goes to f4, it is also a stalemate. And if king doesn't take f5 pawn, then white simply gets back with the king to g4 square, protects the pawn f5, and, well, white is okay, just playing king g4, king h5, waiting for black's king takes f5. Without taking f5 pawn, black can't make a progress in this position, so it is a draw. Let's have a look now to the other example. This position looks absolutely hopeless at first glance for white, because the king is very passive, pawns are very weak. The one of them, the f3 drops next move, so looks like black inevitably will have the endgame with 2 pawns against 1. And our first task is to understand if it is really a winning endgame. So let's say white plays king to d1. Of course, black has to eliminate the pawn f3. King takes f3. And now the king goes to the queen side, closer to opponent's pawns, trying to exchange the lost pawn for pawn b6, and it is a good plan. So in addition to having a sort of king b5 here, which means that king goes to a6, after that takes a7, so it will be an easy draw. So in addition to this plan, white has very interesting idea of playing a5 and simply exchanging the last pawn for black's pawn b6. So in case we will have a position with the black's a pawn, it is a simple draw. So white's king simply goes to the corner of the board, a1 square, and it is a well-known theoretic draw, so black has no chances. At the same time, if white takes on b6, so let's say black will wait a bit after a5 and give white a chance to take on b6. So after that, we'll have a position with the pawn on the b file, but we can see that black's king is not in front of the pawn, so it is on the side or just behind the pawn. So it is also a well-known drawish layout, so this position will be a draw. So black has to fight with white's plan somehow. There are 2 plans, and a6 is just okay. So preventing king to b5, and at the same time, after a5, being ready to play b6, b5, just creating a passed pawn and gradually winning the game. And if white stays, then after king c3, king c5, king d3, king d4, black maneuvers, and black's idea is, of course, to get to a4 pawn if possible. After king b4, for example, it is possible to do that with the help of a sacrifice of the materials. So black plays a5, check. Here, if king doesn't go to b5, attacking b6 pawn, let's say king goes to b3 and stays passive, then king d3. And this pawn a5 seriously helps to control important squares, so that black's king gradually gets closer to this b4 square, occupies b4 square, and inevitably eliminates a4. So it's not a problem to win this position with black. So king should go to b5, but this doesn't help. So king goes to c3, gets to a4 pawn, and after that, king goes to b3, ensuring the promotion of the pawn without limits. So white can't really get to a1 square here, and this means black wins. So we can see if white passively goes to the queen side, black gradually wins. So white has to do something else, and what you will see now looks like a great idea to play for a draw in a situation like this one. So when you have a pawn on the A or H file, and your opponent respectively has pawns on A and B or H and G files. So white plays A5 move. Very interesting idea. So first of all, the question, why not just take this pawn? So in this case, after B takes A5, king goes to D1, and nothing can stop white from occupying A1 square, which is the guarantee of the draw, because it doesn't really matter how many pawns are on the A file or on the H file. So if king occupies the square in the corner, it is not possible to force this king away. So this will end up in a stalemate gradually. It is a well-known drawish pattern. So if king takes f3, then white continues with the plan which was possible after king b4 in the line we discussed with the passive king d1 move. So white takes on b6 and simply gets to b4 square and then gains the opposition. So it is also very famous drawish layout, so black can't make progress here. So what to do after a5? Of course, black has to play b5 to have chances for a win. And now, if white doesn't make a correct move, let's say plays again the king d1, then black plays a6 prior to taking f pawn, and it is an easily winning position. So let's say king c2, king takes f3, then king simply goes here, restricting white's king, preventing this king from going to b6 square. And then inevitably again, black simply grabs a5 pawn, and with two extra pawns easily wins the position. So white has to break the connection between black's pawns, and white has to play a6 hands. So after a6, we can see that b5 pawn is no longer that solid, right? So it is not protected with the pawn from adjacent file, but still it is not that clear what white wants to achieve. After, let's say, king takes f3, king goes to d2, king e4, king c3, king d5. Looks like black is just in time to protect b5 pawn. Yes, that's true, but now white occupies a5 square, very important one, preventing black from playing king b6 and getting a6 pawn. And now, to make a progress, black has to occupy c5 square with the king, which leads to a stalemate. So once again, white's pawn is blockaded, it can't move, and white's king also has no squares to occupy. So it is a draw immediately. By the way, after a6, if black plays b4 move instead of taking on f3, it also leads to a simple draw. So king goes to d1, king f3, then king simply grabs pawn b4, after which everything that black can do, so I mean the best case is to take pawn a6, but we already discussed, so the pawn on the A or H file doesn't help the strongest side to win, because opponent's king simply gets to the corner of the board and it is not possible to force the king away. Thanks a lot for your attention. See you next lessons.